Day 2.7, our homework solutions. Question 1 asks, use the equations listed below to answer the following. So we're given two equations, A and B. Equation A is y equals 2x minus 2, and equation B is y equals 2x plus 1. What is the slope of each line? Well, in both cases, the coefficient of x is 2, so they have the same slope, and that slope happens to be 2. So we can say for both of them, A and B, m equals 2. Predict if these lines are going to be parallel. Well, hopefully it's understood by now that if the slope's the same, the lines are going to be parallel. Parallel lines have identical slope. So the answer to that question would be yes, they will be parallel. Graph the lines. Are the lines parallel? Yes. And here are the lines. Now, looking back at the equation, we can see that the y-intercept of A is negative 2, and the y-intercept of B is positive 1. And sure enough, here's the y-intercept and the y-intercept there. Question 2, use the equations listed below to answer the following. Graph A is y equals 3x minus 2, and graph B is y equals negative 2x minus 2. What is the slope of each of the lines? Well, graph A is going to have a slope of 3 because that's the coefficient of the x term, and graph B is going to have a slope of negative 2. Next question asks, what is the y-intercept of each line? Well, graph A has a b value of negative 2, and graph B has a b value of negative 2. So the y-intercept for both of these equations is going to be negative 2. And it asks, predict if these lines are going to be parallel? Well, they're not because the slopes are different. We graph the lines and we can see that they are indeed not parallel, but they do intersect at the point 0, negative 2, right at the y-intercept of negative 2. Consider the following linear equations. So we're given a whole bunch of linear equations with numbers beside them, and we're asked to do a couple of things. First of all, we're asked to circle the slope value. So that's going to be the coefficient of the x value. And based on the slope values, write the equation of each line in the appropriate column in the table before. So the first question, or the first equation, is y equals 3x plus 4. We've circled the slope value, 3, and because it's a positive number, we've put it in the positive slope column. Question 2 does not have an x value. It's simply y equals 4. So there is no slope at all. The x value is 0. Because there's no x term, x is 0, and we put it down in the 0 slope column. Question 3, even though there is not a coefficient explicitly written in this equation, we assume that coefficient to be 1. Even though it's not written, we just know it is 1. So 1 is a positive number, so we'll put that in the positive slope column. 4 says y equals negative 1. Again, there is no x term. So x is 0. The coefficient in front of x is 0. M is 0. So 0 slope gets put in the 0 slope column. Equation 5, y equals negative x minus 5. Well, the presumed number in front of the x term, or the coefficient of x, is negative 1. And negative 1 is a negative number, so we put that down as negative slope. Y equals negative 1/2 x plus 5. The coefficient of the x term is negative 1/2, which means the slope is negative. And equation number 7, y equals 1/3 x plus 8. 1/3 is a positive number, so it gets put in the positive slope column. Write an equation of a line that is parallel to y equals 4x plus 2. Well, 4x plus 2 is the red line with a y-intercept of 2. Any line that is parallel to y equals 4x plus 2 must have a slope of 4. It can have any y-intercept we want, but it must have a slope of 4. So y equals 4x plus 6 or y equals 4x minus 3 are all lines that are parallel to y equals 4x plus 2. The only criteria that has to be satisfied is the coefficient of the x term must be 4. Steeper than y equals negative x plus 7. Well, for it to be steeper than negative x plus 7, it must have a larger coefficient number. So the negative 1 is the presumed coefficient of y equals negative x plus 7. So if we put in a bigger number than 1, then we will get a steeper line. So negative 2, 2 is bigger than 1, and the equation just says negative 2x plus 7. 3 is steeper as well. So if you graph y equals negative 3x plus 7, it will be steeper than y equals negative x plus 7. Less steep than y equals 3x minus 1. Well, the coefficient here is 3. So as long as the number of the coefficient is less than 3, then it will be less steep. So 2 is less than 3. We graph y equals 2x minus 1. We get a less steep slope. 1 is smaller than 3. So if we graph y equals 1x, or just x, y equals x minus 1, we will get a less steep graph. Parallel to negative 1/2 x minus 6. Well, for it to be parallel, it must have the same slope as y equals negative 1/2 x minus 6. So the slope is negative 1/2. As long as the other equations have a slope of negative 1/2, then it doesn't matter what the y-intercept is. So two possible parallel lines might be y equals negative 1/2 x minus 4 or y equals negative 1/2 x plus 2. As long as it has a slope of negative 1/2, it will be parallel. So we are told that the red line has an equation of y equals x plus 2 And we're told that the blue line, M, is parallel to the red line. So right away, we know that the M line, the equation of the M line, is going to have a slope of 1. And if we look at the y-intercept of M, we can see that it crosses the y-axis at 5. So if we know the slope and we know the y-intercept, we can write our equation y equals x plus 5. Question 5b, we're given a line y equals negative 2x plus 1, and we're told that line M is parallel to this. So right away, we know that the slope for M is going to be negative 2, and we can see that the line M crosses the y-intercept at negative 4. So we know that B will have a value of negative 4. So if M is negative 2 and B is negative 4, we have enough information to write our equation y equals negative 2x minus 4. A pyramid has a height of 480 feet and a base of 750 feet. Determine the slope of the pyramid. So we want to know what the slope of this line is right here. If the base is 750 feet, then half the base right here will be 375 feet. So this will represent our run of 375 feet. This 480 feet represents our rise. So we just use rise over run. M equals rise over run, which is going to be 480 over 375, which equals 96 over 75, which reduces finally to 32 over 25.